Alright guys, so the first thing that we need to learn before we can even think about trading is of course the tools that we need in order to be taking trades, in order to be marking up charts and all of that sort of stuff. So first thing that we're doing today is taking a look at TradingView. This is what my TradingView looks like currently. Yours will be looking a little bit different when you first open it. Your guys' one is going to be looking a little bit more like this. So this is basically what the TradingView platform looks like when you first open it. It is completely free to get as well, by the way, so don't worry, we do not have to pay a single thing unless you want some extra features. Of course, you have to pay for that, but there is no need really once you are learning to trade. But the first thing I want to do is take our charts from looking like this to make it look a bit more nicer like my one. At least I think my one looks nice. You probably don't, but that's absolutely fine. So let's go from this into how my chart looks now. So basically the first thing that we're going to want to do is we are going to want to go over the canvas. So if you go up the top here, this little section, you can see this little settings icon. Click on this and it's going to already take you into the canvas section. From here, you basically want to change your background. At the moment, I believe it should be like solid white. It's going to look like that, pretty in your face, and I don't really like it. I prefer to have mine on dark, but I've got a gradient as well. These are my colors. If you want to copy mine, you of course don't have to. You can play around with this, find what you like and how you want to get your set up. The next thing I would recommend is removing the grid lines. You don't really want these things all over your chart. It just looks a little bit messy. It's not really ideal. There's not really any point in them for the way that we are learning to trade. So we can just get rid of those, turn that to none. Crosshair, I just have it as gray. I'm not exactly sure what the starting point is. The watermark, this basically just has a little watermark on the pair that you are currently showing. I personally turn that off, so there's not really a need for that. This is my settings on the canvas side of things. I'm not sure if anything else there is that I've changed or not, so that is the canvas side done. Next, we're going to move on to the candlesticks, and the candlesticks are actually important ones to be changing because, believe it or not, the candlesticks being green and red actually do affect your psychology a little bit, and psychology is massive in this game, but we're going to be learning a lot more about that further down the line. So for now, the biggest thing about psychology that we're going to be implementing is the different colors of our candlesticks. At this point, I have my candles set to white for the bullish candles and a nice light blue for the bearish candles. That's just what I like. I prefer to have my candles like this. I've traded basically the entire time with my candles like this. This is how I'm set up. It currently says my time zone is London. Don't worry, yours, if yours says something else, it should say wherever you are from. I just currently have mine set to London because I'm implementing my London session strategy, but more on session times later as well. One last thing, if you are going dark mode, these three dots up here do allow you to open this section, open up the settings as well, and then you can basically switch from light to dark. As you would see when you change to dark, only the middle bit actually changed and the rest of it was still white. You're probably thinking, how the hell do I change that? That's exactly how. So you can play around with that. All of the settings that I'm showing you as well, you can play around with, make it look how you want it to look. So apart from the aesthetics, of course, we have everything else that TradingView offers. And we're going to start with this right-hand side, which is where you can favorite all of your pairs. Yours will not look like this. I'm not exactly sure how to get back to what the original one was. But basically, what you want to do is coming over here, this will say a different symbol. It probably starts on like Apple stock. I'm not too sure. But simply just click this. And then in this section, you can type in whichever pair you want to be trading or looking at. At the moment, I just have it set to the GBP USD because that is what I'm currently trading. And in order for you to add it to your favorites, all you have to do is flick on this little red tab. As you can see, it won't be there, but when you hover over it, it'll have a little gray one. Just click that and it'll add it to what is called your red list. It's basically your favorites, and that'll store all of your favorites over here. So you can see I've got a bunch. Add in your favorite pairs or whatever pairs that it is that you are looking to trade. I'm going to be running through this entire thing on GBP USD, so you can follow me with GBP USD if you would like. It is also the FXCM chart. Another thing TradingView offers is a trading panel down here. So we can see on this trading panel, there is a bunch of different brokers. These are all trusted by TradingView, and you are actually able to take trades through TradingView through these brokers. So if you would like to execute trades on TradingView, I personally don't recommend it, but it is a possibility that you can. They do also offer paper trading, so once we get into the paper trading side of things, then I'll basically explain that of potentially what you could look to do. But for me, I don't look to execute trades on TradingView, so this is not of use to me, but of course it is there if you would like. There is a bunch of stuff down here, just some data and all of that stuff. I ignore that. There's not really any use for it, at least for me. But what is of use is of course the TradingView tools that we can see. I currently have saved a few that I use often at the top section here. These are basically just favorited tools. You won't have those yet. Let's show you how to get them. There is a bunch of tools as well in TradingView, so I'm not going to be going over all of them. I'm just going to be going over the couple that I use. I'm going to start with this section right here, and by flicking this little arrow, we basically get an extended list of tools that are within this section, I guess you could call it. But the main two that we are looking at is the long position and short position. You're going to want to add both of these tools to your favorite. So just click that little star and it'll automatically set up a favorite tool over here. Before I run over what each tool does, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you each tool that I use so that you can have the entire toolbar next to you. And then we can start getting into what everything does. So over here on the left where this trend line is, I use the trend line tool, horizontal line, horizontal ray, and the vertical line. So if you want to add those to your favorites, you can do so. Moving down, the next tools that I use is the Fibonacci retracement, which to be honest, I don't really use a lot, pretty much ever when I'm day trading. I do use it for some crypto chart marking up, stuff like that, but I've just still got it favorited. And the Gann box, this is used for me in my day trading, so you can add that to your favorites as well. Where we found our long position and short position tool, there is also the price range tool that I have favorited. And then moving on to the next section, we can see that I have the rectangle tool. That is all that you would need saved in this section. And that is it. So now your toolbar should be looking at something like that. It doesn't matter the order. I also have the cross tool as well, just so if I am like hovering with a potential tool that I don't want to use anymore, I can just click that cross tool and then be able to drag without it placing a thing. But let's now run over what each tool does. Starting with the long and short positions, I'm just going to go over one because they're basically the same. So what you want to do is hover over whatever tool you are looking to use on that particular time. Basically just click it and then you can add it anywhere to your chart. Now it doesn't matter where you add it to your chart. It doesn't have to be to the exact pip or anything, because we can drag these around, extend it, shrink it. You know, we have a lot of freedom to move these tools however we see fit. You're also going to notice that your position tool does not look like mine. It is probably green and red. It will be green and red actually. What you want to do is you want to click on the tool and you can see this little bar comes up below it. This little paint can, you can click on this and this is the color of your profit target. You can see when you hover over it, it says profit background color. So whenever you're in profit, that is the color that you're looking for on the long position tool. And then next to it, you have the stop background color, which is of course the stop loss background as well. So I have that one set to a gray and I have this one set to the blue, but the opacity is down. So that's just personally how I like to have it. Those are the only two things you need to change about that. If you want to change it, you can leave it green and red if you want. I just found, again, psychologically changing these colors, not seeing it red, it doesn't affect you too much when you're in a trade. But of course, that'll all make sense further down the line. So the position tools are of course used to identify where you got put in at the market. So let's say we went to go long at this section, we got put in at this point. We want to move our stop loss, say, to here, and then we are looking to target all the way up here. And then we basically just use it to see where price is within our position. This is, of course, where we want price to go. And then if it continues down, we know where it needs to get to invalidate our trade. Moving on to the rectangle tool. This is what I use for my fair value gaps, like so over here. Of course, we'll be getting into those later. Do not worry. But this is basically what I use my rectangle tools for. It is just to identify these a little bit better on the chart, easier, especially when you're dropping down onto lower time frames, which actually I've got to go over time frames, and you can't see the fair value gap anymore. It just identifies it and makes it a lot easier. I also have changed some settings on this. I believe that is still the same, that fill color, but then I have this one, and then if I go onto my settings and click style, middle line I have set as well as the background. I'm not sure if background is on there or not, but basically those are my settings. If you want to copy them, you can. Let's continue on with the trend line tool, and this one some people use for marking up some shit like this, like triangles, breakout trends. Breakout traders use the trend line for this reason. I do not. I am not a breakout trader. So this is what I use to mark my break of structures, which if we click on it, that's what my break of structure line looks like. I can show you the settings for that one, of course. Basically just a red line, of course, and then text. You can make this say whatever you want, and then you can also position it as well. So you can put it on top of the line, under the line, you know, on the left of the line, all of that good stuff. So for me, my break of structure is in the middle of the line, and it just says BOS to make it simple and easy. Next up, the price range tool. This one is basically just for measuring how far candles moved or how far something else may have happened. So yeah, there's not much to say about that one. It just does what it does. Next up, the horizontal ray, and I use this for targets. So I like to pin it off of some lows or some highs depending on what way I'm looking to trade. And then I also use it as liquidity sweeps, which we'll be going over later, don't you worry. And that's how I use that to identify those. Vertical lines I use mainly just for the market opens or whenever a high impact news will be coming out, like this one just down here. And then horizontal lines kind of to do the same. Once I'm in a trade, I hit the horizontal line to see where I can take profits based on where the price is moving or where I want my risk to reward to be. The Gann box, I realize I just missed that, but this is what I use for my equilibrium level and to find midpoints of like fair value gaps or something like that. The settings for this are as follows. I'm not sure exactly what the Gann box looks like when you first put it up, but that is what my settings look like for it. Also, this applies for everything. Once you do change your settings on this stuff, you can then come down here where it says template, use this little arrow right here, click it, and then press save as, and you can basically just save it as any template that you want to call it. Say for me, this is my EQ, but then this is my backtesting EQ. I had to make it black just because when I was doing my backtesting, I needed the screen white. Technical difficulties, right? Anyway, open the template, fair value gap. I literally made a rectangle because I didn't know how to put the midpoint through the rectangle a little while ago, but EQ is what I have it set to, and then pressing OK will of course save that. And then that is also what that little template button does. So if you're on this and you want to switch it, click that and it has all of your saved templates there, just like the rectangle tool. When I do that out, click on the templates and you have all of your saved templates here. You can just switch between them nice and easy, which of course has to be quick as well when we are trading because the market can pick up volume and you got to be reacting quick. But that is the basics of the tools. Hopefully I went over that pretty all right. I mean, I didn't really have a script for this bit, but the tools, yeah, have a play around with them, see what you like, set them out. You're going to be understanding the tools a lot more once I'm going through the different concepts that I use to trade. I'll be explaining the tools that I'm using when I'm looking to find those concepts. So don't stress if you didn't get all of that down pat. But yeah, basically play around with it, play around with some customization and see how it goes. Now we're nearly done. Let's just go over the different chart times that we can have set up here. And this is how we easily switch between the 4-hour chart all the way down to the 15-minute chart, all the way down to the 1-minute chart. Really, really quick, which of course we do need to do when we are trading. So what you want to do is click this little arrow down, and then you'll have all of these ticks. You'll have seconds, which actually I don't think you get seconds if you're on the free version. I'm not too sure. But all of these minutes, all of these hours, all of these days, months, whatever, right? We don't need all of them. We just need a couple that we use while we are looking to execute trades. So for me personally, I have the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, hourly, 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly. That is the timeframes that I have all set up. When executing trades, I don't use all of them. That is for sure. That would just be way too much. But I do like to, check the monthly, check the weekly on bigger moves, bigger potential swings that we could be looking at. And then the minute ones I basically am using for executions. And then like the hourlies is again like executions or bias, stuff like that. We'll be going over that later in the course, so don't you worry about that. But these are the ones that I have. So of course you can favorite whichever ones you want to use based on your strategy. If you're basing it on my strategy, then we can copy these ones for now at least. But the final thing that we want to do as well is add in alerts. So as you can see, wherever your cursor is, you will have a line following it, basically a crosshair. And then on the right hand side, which is what price is trading at, you can see that just before it there is a little plus here. What that plus does is it sets an alert. You click that plus and you can add in an alert on whatever pair it is that you're on at that certain price point. Don't worry if you don't get the exact price point, because once you set it, you can of course move it. Now what that alert does is allows you to basically set the alert. Potentially might have to go do something else, whatever it is. Price can run up, cross that mark, and once it does, it will give a little ding, very high pitch. There you go. I don't even know if you heard that, but perfect example. once it goes past it, you even get a little alert down here saying that it did cross that price point, and that you basically need to come back, look at the charts, because price is now trading within an area that you wanted price to trade beforehand. I'll go over a bit more in depth what I use the alerts for once I'm basically explaining that in the later section of the course. But for now, I believe that is all I had to cover for the TradingView charts. There is just one more thing, however, and that is of course MetaTrader 4 and 5. So I'll add up a screen recording of my phone right now. I'm going to be going on that. This is what MetaTrader will be looking like. This is where I execute my trades. As I said, I don't take my trades on TradingView. I used to when I was practicing, but when you're taking real trades, this is what you're going to be wanting to use, MetaTrader or something similar. For me personally, I use MetaTrader. And as you can see, this is my quotes section. You will have different pairs here. If you don't want a certain pair, swipe it to the right. Oh, not do that. Swipe it to the right and it'll come up with the little pluses and all of that. If you want to delete it, just press the little trash can in the middle, as you can see. If you want to add a new one, you can see all you have to do is type in a new pair. So GBP, and then you can see it comes up with AUD, CAD, all of that. So it comes up with all the pairs. You can just add that to your shortlist. Then what you're going to want to do is when you're looking to trade the pair, click it, comes up with this, click trade, and then there you go. This is where you'll be entering your lot sizes, stop loss, take profits, and hitting buy or sell. Simple as that. I'll be running through it much more in depth once we are looking to take some trades and once I'm explaining how to calculate lot sizes and all of that stuff. So don't stress about it too much, but MetaTrader 4 and 5 is definitely something you should download as well. Of course, they are free and you'll be able to connect your broker by signing in to your brokerage account if they are allowed on MetaTrader. But with that being said, guys, that is the first lesson done. I know we didn't go over too much in terms of actual trading, but of course we have to set ourselves up for that. So basically what I want you guys to do now is jump on TradingView, download it. There is apps for it as well. You can get it on your iPad, iPhone, and on your MacBook, whatever it is that you want to trade on, or on your laptop, whatever. And basically all I want you to do is just go on there, play around with it a little bit, just play around with the tools, get a feel for it, start customizing some stuff, make it look pretty, make it look however you want, right? That is your homework for this lesson. Hopefully you learned a little bit. I know it's not that exciting yet, but next lesson we will be getting into some actual chart work and learning our first important step towards becoming a profitable trader. So I'll see you there.